the episode Brotherhood of Social being released, there's a lot of talk spinning around the fanbase about MLP's stance on the dysphoria of transgendered individuals and what people think about the possibility of Big Macintosh either being transgendered or not. Let me be blunt, he's not. But it got me thinking on another topic on MLP, the world of Equestria, and how it correlates to LGBT topics. In truth, MLP is represented as an idealistic world, taking concepts of our own world and bringing it in better aspects of society. We've seen it for years, how its world and its society, mostly in Ponyville, but somewhat in later regions as we've explored further, idealizes the importance of individuality, self-discovery, and self-expression. Let's try and cover those main three topics and look at things from the point of view of current social struggles of the LGBT community in our own world. One of my favorite Doctor Whooves series is Pierce Smolder's Doctor Whooves and the Assistant radio play series. When the series begins, Derpy explains to the newly arrived Doctor that the world of Equestria is an egalitarian society, and that every pony is equal, though she's cut off by the Doctor at this point. The full definition is pretty much just that every individual has equal grounds on economic, legal, political, social grounds, but the world as we've seen of Equestria goes further beyond this definition by defining each pony as an individual, and therefore has their importance for this fact alone. How does this relate to the LGBT community at large in our own world? I'll explain a little bit more on this later, but for now, let's look at how the importance of an individual in Equestria is weighed against how an individual is weighed in our own world. In Equestria, during the episode The Last Roundup, we see after the intro sequence that there's a certain pony trying to help with the repairs to Ponyville's Town Hall building. While Rainbow Dash is short-tempered with her, she's still seen as an important part of her community in her efforts to help others. Though it's not really stated in the episode, the damage to the town hall came from a thunderstorm that the Pegasi, including Derpy, or Muffins as she's named in later episodes, has finished running its course for Ponyville. Remember that the Pegasi rays control the weather in Equestria? It's a sign that everyone has to play an integral part in the ponies' world in order to keep things running smoothly, no matter how small a part they seem to think their contributions are, which we get as a moral in Hurricane Fluttershy, an episode later on down the line as well. And yet, we see a normal day in the life of one small filly in the episode called the Cutie, where most Apple Bloom's day is spent outside of the classroom. We begin the episode inside, naturally, with some explanation dialogue on the idea of cutie marks, the identifying marks on each pony's flank, and how they are a factor in each pony's identity and how they appear. I'd like to go into the how and why on cutie marks in a later video, but for now, this explanation will do fine, in explaining that this episode shows just how important it is in Equestria that a pony has time to discover their identity, even, or perhaps especially, at an early age when he or she are still discovering themselves and the world around them. So there are multiple fronts where a person and their own identities are seen in the society of Equestria as important, which I could go into a rant at this point about how our world staples a number on you, if you're lucky, and that's all you're seen as, but I'm sure I'm just preaching to the choir at this point. On the opposite side of the spectrum, we've gotten to see what happens when that identity is stripped away in Season 5 opener when the main six were called to our town. Yes, that's what I'm calling it. Don't like it, you can bite me. In the realm of Equestria, though, we see the light and dark sides to this, and even Twilight begins to explain that each person's unique qualities is what makes them important, both to other groups, as well as their world as a whole, and the actions of taking away that unique individuality mentality is what turned their town into the nightmare it was. Even visually, the town is bland in comparison to the other places we've seen, especially in Ponyville, with dulled colors of both the environment as well as the citizens themselves. It's not until the town drives Starlight Glimmer from the city and embrace their individual identities instead of denying them that any color is brought to their town, which also marks the end of the main six's adventure and very purpose for them being there. Quite literally, there are 3 characters we've seen up to this point, a few off to the side, but these 3 are in the forefront of just how important the concept of self-discovery is in the world of Equestria. In the faces of the Cutie Mark Crusaders, we've seen time and again the childlike naivety and fascination with seeing the world and finding themselves in their place within it. Though most of their episodes end in the failure of their primary goal, earning their identities and purpose in discovering their cutie marks themselves, like so many others have. Their adventures show what that means in importance to both them and those around them. Most of the exchanges on this subject are between the Crusaders' anchor member and her older sister, Apple Bloom and Applejack, respectively. In the episode of the Showstoppers, we see the Cutie Mark Crusaders doing their thing. Evident is that the town around them are opening up their businesses to allow the Crusaders to try. The montage of attempts in the middle of the episode shows them at multiple local workplaces, from the sweet shop to the stylist, to even the farmhand work on Apple Bloom's own family land. It seems in order to get your hoof in the door at a workplace in Equestria, all one needs is a willingness to try. Yet later on, we see in Appalotus's Most Wanted, we see the struggles of some fields, usually competitive sports, some individuals may face, but it's never specified still that there needs to be any family history or personal experience needed to try to enter into that field. The example in this episode being Troubleshoes tries to enter into rodeo competition and performance. Once again, this is a CMC-focused episode on a topic of their world's importance of self-discovery. From Season 1, we get one character in specific who utilizes their passion and trade as a form of self-expression. The main cast character, Rarity, represents the element of generosity, and yet she is something far more than that, in that she is, in all intents and purposes, an artist, first and foremost. She explains in both Suited for Success and Canterlot Boutique just how important this is in creating something from inspiration to final product, to the importance of each piece being an individual identity itself. Any artist, whether working professionally, such as the Brony fandom's own Mad Munchkin, to casual hobbyists like me, will tell you what it means to create and express and how each and every piece is as different as the next, even if the processes used to create them are pretty much identical. Rarity's character shows the most passion and life when we see her creating works, whether it be for the dresses for her friends in Season 1 or Season 4's inspiration manifestation, as well as how redundancy of a single piece and how repeating the same thing without change does to an artist and their work in the episode Canterlot Boutique. While her field is competitive as well, there's only so much attention and money to be spent by people in any world, no matter how idealistic. She shows time and again just how important it is to her and how the world around her wants to express herself and her work. This isn't to say she doesn't do so without criticism, as even her own friends might occasionally nitpick at pieces of her work, whether those nitpicks are well placed or not. Her character, however, will likely continue, both as a generous heart in a world where others in need, and as a successful creator in her fashions, where she finds her passion and expressions. So how does this correlate to the LGBT community? As I said, Equestria is, as shown, an idealistic world where individuality is of utmost importance to both the individual and the society around them. Since MLP is a family-based show, it's not one we can use to express sexuality, well, canonically anyways, but we can see how it is important in this world to see more than just shapes or colors, which in MLP there's a lot of, and we see the heart and actions of a single person, where the pony's traits are judged by all. We see a world of multiple races where males and females can even be politicians or delegates without any regard to any physical aspect to them. And racism doesn't exist between unicorns, Pegasi, or Earth ponies either, though it's explained it once did. All in all, this is the end result the LGBT community seeks in our world. Nothing more than a society that sees individuals as people, rather than as some sort of label, even if they have to use a label system in order to do it. Whether you're lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or an ally, you know full well the differences seen in our world and the world of MLP. Socially, legally, politically, there's no difference between what a pony is and instead is judged as Martin Luther King Jr. had always wanted. Not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. In the ending of the episode Brotherhood Social, the judge ponies for the social, well, most of them anyways, were full aware of the identity of the pony coming to compete in the games, dress and falsetto voice or not. It didn't fucking matter to any pony, is the point. I also find it interesting that the strong silent type and a stallion of few words can find a voice to express himself openly when he's wearing the costume of a mare. So no, Brotherhood Social doesn't make a statement about transgenderism or any gender dysphoria, but instead is yet another eye-opener on this idealistic world of the importance of the person, rather than a mindset of conformity where the person doesn't matter. Is Rainbow Dash a lesbian or bisexual? Well, we'll likely never know. But it'll still be debated in the fans for a long time to come. Let's admit it, we want to see this world of Equestria become real in our own world. Not by bringing ponies into our lives, but in that we want people to know and understand the individual, not the label, speaking from the LGBT sides of things at least. Have something to add to the discussion? I'd love to hear from any side. As always, I am Postscript of the Brony Crusaders, and I can't wait to hear some of your thoughts and feelings next.